One wrong word, one very unfortunate hiring manager, catastrophic timing.
Okay, so technically I taught her the word, but hear me out.
I said it 3 times, Oliver. 3 times in the same interview.
Inspired by the kind of story you'd find on Reddit, today's episode is about a job interview, a perfectly normal, perfectly professional job interview that went, shall we say, spectacularly off the rails within the first 4 minutes.
4 minutes. I was 4 minutes in and I wanted to crawl under the table and never come back out.
Okay, but honestly, in my defense, and I do have a defense, I was trying to help.
You called the hiring manager redundant, Jake, to her face in the interview.
Okay, when you say it like that, it sounds bad.
Right, let's set the scene properly, shall we? Sophie had spent 3 weeks preparing for this interview. The role was a marketing coordinator position at a mid-sized company in Leeds. She'd researched the company, prepared her answers, ironed her blazer twice, apparently, and had asked her flatmate Jake to run a mock interview with her the night before.
Which, looking back, was my first mistake.
No, the mock interview was great. We went for like 2 hours. We did all the classic questions. Tell me about yourself. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What's your greatest weakness? We even did the tough ones, like what to say when they ask about salary expectations.
He was actually dead good at it, to be fair. He pushed me proper hard on my answers, made me feel well prepared.
And this is where a key piece of vocabulary enters the story. During the mock interview, Jake had looked up a list of, quote, impressive HR buzzwords to use in interviews. One of those words was proactive. Now, proactive means taking action before problems happen, rather than waiting to react. It's a very common and genuinely useful workplace word. Jake, however, decided to teach Sophie a second word.
Okay, so I was scrolling this career advice thread, right? And it said that using the word redundant in an interview shows you understand business efficiency. Like, you'd say something like, I try to eliminate redundant processes, meaning processes that are unnecessary, duplicated, a waste of time. It's a totally normal business word.
Redundant does mean that. In business English, if a process is redundant, it means it's unnecessary or duplicated. It's not adding any value. That's a real thing.
See, completely legitimate vocabulary.
Legitimate, yes. Context dependent, very much so. Because in the UK, and this is important for our listeners, redundant has a second, very specific meaning. If a person is made redundant, it means they have lost their job because their position is no longer needed by the company. It is not an insult exactly, but it is not something you say to a living, breathing hiring manager while she is sitting across a desk from you, evaluating your suitability for employment.
I didn't know that. Jake never told me that part.
I genuinely didn't think about it, I swear. I was thinking purely in the process efficiency context.
So the interview begins. Sophie walks in, shakes hands, sits down. The hiring manager, a very senior woman, the head of the entire marketing department, smiles and asks Sophie to walk her through her experience with team collaboration.
And I'm thinking, brilliant, I've got this. I practiced this exact question. I took a breath, I smiled, I said, and I quote, I think strong collaboration means being proactive about communication and making sure no one on the team becomes redundant.
Which is a great sentence. That is a well-constructed sentence.
The hiring manager had just announced to the whole team that morning that she herself was being made redundant at the end of the month. The company was restructuring. Her entire role gone.
Oh no.
Oh no is right.
Now, to be absolutely clear, Sophie had no idea. She was using the word in the business process sense that Jake had taught her. She meant making sure team members don't do duplicated, unnecessary work. She did not mean, I have heard about your impending unemployment and I'd like to reference it immediately. But the timing was, to put it generously, catastrophic.
The woman just froze, like her whole face just went still, and I didn't understand why, so I kept going. I said, I find that when roles overlap too much, people start to feel redundant, and that's when morale drops. Twice, Oliver. I said it twice.
Okay, that is wait, you said it twice. Okay, that's rough.
There were 2 other people in the interview panel. One of them was writing notes so hard I could hear the pen scratching. The other one was staring at the ceiling.
Today's English word is redundant. It means no longer needed or unnecessary, and Sophie was absolutely, catastrophically redundant in her use of that word. In the room, in front of the very person it applied to, twice.
Honestly, I feel like the universe was just like, the timing of that is statistically impossible. That is 1 in a million.
I found out what had happened when I got home. I googled the company just to, I don't know, torture myself, and there was a LinkedIn post from one of the employees saying the head of marketing was leaving due to restructuring. I nearly died on the spot.
Now what is remarkable, and this is the part of the story that Reddit absolutely loved, is that Sophie didn't immediately realize anything was wrong during the interview itself. She read the frozen silence as nerves, her own nerves. So she did what Jake had told her to do when she felt the interview going quiet.
I told her, and I stand by this as general advice, if there's an awkward silence, pivot to talking about your initiative. Be proactive, show you're a self-starter. Don't wait for them to lead.
So I smiled and I said, I actually took the initiative in my last role to streamline some of our onboarding procedures. There were a few steps that were completely redundant. Third time, I said redundant a third time.
3 times, okay, yeah, that's wow.
One of the panel members coughed so hard, I thought he was going to need medical attention.
For our listeners, the word initiative, which Sophie just used, is a brilliant workplace English word. If you show initiative, it means you do things on your own without being told to. You spot a problem and fix it proactively. It's one of the most valued qualities employers look for, and ironically, Sophie showed excellent initiative in a story about accidentally destroying her own interview.
Can we also talk about the feedback I got? Because I did get feedback through the recruitment agency.
Oh, there was feedback. What did it say?
It said, and this is a direct quote, Sophie demonstrated strong vocabulary and excellent communication skills, but may benefit from considering the broader context in which professional terminology is used. That's posh for you, mortified our hiring manager.
Okay, but strong vocabulary and excellent communication skills. That's a compliment. You got a compliment.
Jake, I want you to know, I told that story to 3 separate people, and every single one of them looked at you when I got to the part where you taught me the word.
The recruitment agency, to their credit, did suggest Sophie for a follow-up role at a different company the very next week. A smaller firm, different panel, fresh start. And this is where the story gets interesting, because Sophie went back to Jake for prep.
She did, she came back to me. That means she trusts me.
It means I had no one else available, and the interview was in 12 hours.
This time I was like, okay, I'm gonna be really thorough. I made a whole list of workplace vocabulary, you know, like deliverables, which means the specific results or products you're supposed to produce in a job. Stakeholders, the people who have an interest in what you're doing. Bandwidth, how much capacity someone has to take on work. I went through every single word and explained the UK context.
He actually did. He made a document. It was dead thorough.
Those are genuinely excellent workplace English words. By the way, deliverables, the specific outputs your job requires. Stakeholders, anyone with an interest in the project or business. Bandwidth, a person's capacity to take on more work. If you hear, I don't have the bandwidth for that right now, it means someone is too busy. These are the kinds of words that make you sound fluent in a professional setting. And Sophie, to her enormous credit, used all of them correctly in interview number 2.
I got the job.
She got the job. See, the system works.
I got the job, but I also have a running rule in my life now, which is that before I use any new word in a professional setting, I Google it in a UK context first, just to be safe.
Which is genuinely excellent advice for any English learner, or indeed any human. Words carry different weight in different cultures, different industries, different rooms. The word redundant is a perfectly respectable business term in one sentence and an absolutely devastating one in another. Context, as ever, is everything.
And honestly, this is why I think our show is actually useful. Because we don't just give you the word, we give you the story around the word. And the story around redundant is, let's say, very memorable.
Dead memorable, tattooed on the inside of my brain forever, that one.
And that is where we leave today's story. One spectacularly unlucky interview, one well-intentioned flatmate, and a vocabulary lesson that neither Sophie nor, I suspect, you will ever forget.
If that made you laugh or cringe, or both at the same time, drop us a like. It genuinely helps more than you know.
And follow us so you never miss another story. There's a new one every single day, and some of them are even worse than this one.
Subscribe to English Through Stories, new episodes every day, and every one of them comes with vocabulary your textbook was too sensible to include.
See you on the next one.